This is awesome.
Oh, Clark, hey. Good to see you among the living, man. Check it out. It's the latest talent mix.
Thanks, Pete.
Good to see you all among the living. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Talon Mix. I'm Brian. Zach, I don't want to waste any fucking time. I have to tell you about the promotional image for this episode of Smallville. I found it here on the wiki, and Zach, seatbelt yourself in.
Yes, click.
Great. So, of course, this week we watched Exposed, the 6th episode of the 5th season of Smallville. They made an image, some kind of poster. This maybe went full page in like magazines or comic books that were going to come out this week. That's my guess to where this was seen. I'm not even going to send you the link. I'm going to describe this to you because I think it'll be more effective that way. But we have on the left-hand side of the frame, Tom Welling. He's looking sort of forlornly, you know, the teen soap look on his face. Behind him, Erica Durance in an American flag bikini top, gripping a pole. And there's a line here. There's a line here.
Oh, no.
Lois exposes a side of herself we've never seen before. Smallville logo. New WB Thursday, 8 p.m. And then very tiny underneath that, Zach, it's a special guest star, Tom Wopat.
Yeah, they weren't going to lead the promo with him.
He got incredibly tiny bottom of the poster billing underneath Erica Durance in a bikini top.
I mean, you got to lead with your strengths. I mean,
I guess you're right.
What a 2005 promo, and what a 2005 episode of television.
Seriously. I'm also going to assume most of our listeners don't know who Tom Wopat is. I wouldn't have either by name. I don't think I knew. I don't know if I clocked anything the first time I saw this episode. Just me, an older, wiser, smarter man, by the gravitas they gave this man in the show, gathered that this is John Schneider's co-star from the Dukes of Hazzard.
Yes. There were a few hints thrown at us in the episode.
Can't wait to talk about those.
Some subtle nods.
Very subtle, very low key. Blink and you'll miss them. Zach, how you doing? How are things?
I'm great. I'm ready to talk about this not at all cringy episode of Smallville.
Yeah,
Brian. Okay, last week's episode famously began with a pizza boy's dick getting bitten off by a vampire.
Yes.
This week's episode begins with a stripper getting run over by a car.
What an absolute fucking doozy.
What? Smallville, are you doing okay?
Is something going on?
What's
Smallville circa 2005. Or sorry, 2007. What's going on?
It's a pretty brutal car run over too. It's a pretty gnarly.
Yeah. We'll talk more about that when we get to it in the recap. I have questions. I'm a couple of days removed from this episode when we were gonna record when we recorded the Aquaman episode. We were gonna do. Or sorry, the vampire episode. We were going to do this
the dick fighting episode. Yeah, please call it.
We were going to do this immediately after. I think the vibes were weird on that one. Hopefully not in a way that registered, but I think we were both when we both were like, "Well, you game for the next one?" And then with second, we got the sense that either of us could bail. We bailed.
No, it exactly. No, it took longer than we thought because it was the first one we've done in a while.
Right.
So we had more to talk about, and then by the end, it was like an hour and a half, and we're both like, I'm tired, my back hurts, I'm old.
I don't want to fucking talk about Smallville
on
anymore.
The subject of that, we should just get into the recap right now because
you were exactly correct. What am I doing fucking beating around the goddamn bush? That's what the Patreon is for. Give us money if you want to hear us fucking around. We're here to talk about Smallville. Speaking of, we have a Patreon. Please.
Please. Please.
Please. Okay, I'm just diving right into the recap. Chloe is working late at the Daily Planet screening news calls, and Lois is keeping her company. I forget, could you flag what game she was playing on a PC with like an Xbox controller?
No, no, but I definitely, I've talked about this before on our show. Big pet peeve is actors playing video games on TV shows who have clearly never played a video game before. Yes. Let me move the controller sideways and up and down. That's how it works. It's not the Wii.
Right. Do you think that's... I'm sure it's a mix, right, of actors who don't play a lot of video games, understandably, because they're gorgeous and they don't have to do that. Slash, I also assume there's directors who were like, and give me a little more there so that we can communicate visually boring. You're playing a video game.
Totally. Mm-hmm.
Because as we've talked about before, video games is a lot of like controller lazily in your lap and just sort of like, huh?
And then just like a soft like click, click, click. Yeah. Click, 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 click.
So that's it. She was playing something. I feel like video game people would recognize what that was. It wasn't Halo, but it was something to that effect. Lois asks Chloe to help her move into the apartment at the Talon. This makes sense to me to put Lois in the Talon apartment. Let's be clear, Lois got bumped for it. Lana got bumped out of that apartment to put Lois in it, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, first of all, they have that set, right? That's
right.
Someone's going to live there.
What came first, the chicken or the egg? Was it, let's get Lana into the college closer to Chloe and Clark? And then what do we do with the Talon? Or is it, do we put Lois in the Talon, then what do we do with Lana? What came first?
Oh, great question. My gut tells me first they were like, well, Lois is going to be a regular cast member. So where does she live?
Right. And the Kent farm, to be fair, doesn't work long term.
No, that's a short term thing. Does she live at the Kent farm? I guess she could be going to college with the others.
She's supposed to be a little older than them. Yeah, could. That's an option. They've been pretty dicey on it anyway. She, I think, took classes at the high school. So we've thrown logic out the window.
Yeah, I think it was like, yeah, let's give Lois the apartment, and then Lana can be in Metropolis with Chloe and roommates. I don't know. It works.
It's just beneficial. We don't know, so we won't come to like, here's what it must be.
Either way, anyone can pop up anywhere at any point, regardless of travel time. It doesn't matter.
And everyone weirdly has Clark's super speed when the plot dictates they have to get to a place quickly.
Yeah, there's some real Game of Thrones season 6 shit going on.
Is Metropolis very far away or an easy commuter train away? Well, both. Yes. The answer is yes. Just then, Chloe receives a call from a desperate woman who gives her address and says that someone is trying to find her. They get there. Okay, I'm going to say this. I think this goes without saying. I don't think our listeners need us to dictate this to them, but if you're being pursued by someone trying to murder you, don't call the Cub reporter at the New York Times. Call 911. Are we clear on that? Okay, good.
Do newspapers have someone staying there all night for tips like that? I guess that would make sense.
Absolutely not. No. I say that. I don't know if maybe then, but I doubt. I don't think the New York Times is waiting in the basement like, hope we get some phone calls with some tips. Yeah.
Can you imagine the kinds of people who would call that shit all the time?
Us, if that existed, we'd be calling that all the time.
Yeah, on the show right now
Yes,
would be
yes.
calling.
So they get there and see the woman who called get intentionally killed by a hit and run driver. A murder most foul.
Mean, hit and run to me implies they stopped for a second and then left. Like
they just murdered them with a vehicle.
They just plowed over, did not slow. I think they sped up actually.
Yes,
and
yes.
Her death was punctuated by the wonderful sounds of Remy Zero.
Somebody save me. Not her. She's
not
dead.
her. It's too late. Yeah,
it's too late. Detective Maggie Sawyer talks to Chloe and Lois, but is frustrated with their lack of information. Chloe and Lois believe the dead girl, Melissa Page, was more than just another stripper and decided to look into it themselves. Chloe notices the phone booth that Melissa used near the club, the Windgate. I don't remember anything. Like I said, I'm a couple days removed from this episode. I'm pretty sure the way this episode talks about sex workers is not very 2023 overall.
Nah.
It, is what it is. Okay, so Jonathan's old friend, Senator Jack Jennings, who we've never heard of before, comes to visit the Kent farm. That's not to say Jonathan can't have friends we've never heard of.
Sure.
I do love the way they posit Clark just like calls him Uncle Jack. Like, yep, this is a man I have a relationship with.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of students that he had relationships with, apparently, that pop up randomly at Smallville High.
Funny.
Remember old so-and-so that's been around this whole time?
Jack Jennings comes to visit the Kent farm. Jack is in the middle of a re-election campaign and wants Jonathan to help rally the farmers for him. He is in the running against a new candidate, Lex Luthor.
This is
sorry.
Go ahead. No, you first.
Jack Jennings is who we mentioned before. This was John Schneider, Johnny K's co-star on the hit TV series Dukes of Hazzard, a show I have never seen, but I saw the movie with Johnny Knoxville and Jessica Simpson in like 2005 because I worked at a movie theater and saw everything. And I don't remember a frame of it.
Right. I mean, that makes sense. Wasn't Burt Reynolds in it too?
Could be. That certainly could be true, Zach.
Question.
Yeah.
The biggest question of this episode. Is he a member of the Senate, the U.S. Senate, or the State Senate? They don't say in this episode.
And it will conflict later.
Yes. The implication here seems to be that it is the Senate, the U.S. Senate, because there's something about, like, you normally win this county.
Right.
Whereas if he was a state senator, aren't they elected by county? Like, doesn't each county get a senator or something like that?
I'm not sure to that specific level, but like it's certainly
district.
Yeah. It's certainly some whiplash. In later episodes, it'll seem different.
No, literally the next one they start saying state senate. But yeah. I think they don't want us to think about it because no one would give a fuck about a state senate seat like to this level.
Right. 100%.
Like Lionel's like, we can't give Lex this much power. He's a billionaire. Like he will have less power as a member of the state senate.
He can just buy whatever law he wants.
Right, yeah. As this member of the state senate, he literally will just have to deal with like annoying complaints of like the locals.
Of like some pothole in their road. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
It's 2005 and we still had faith in the American government.
I don't think either of us did at that point.
No, that's been long dead. I meant the royal we.
Oh, yeah.
So Jack is in the middle of a re-election campaign and wants Jonathan to help the rally of the farmers, defeat Lex Luthor. Detective Sawyer then shows up to question Jennings. She reveals that they found a picture in the dead girl's apartment of her and Jennings together, much to Jonathan's shock and dismay. Because anyone you take a picture with, if you've been murdered, is now a suspect.
That
might not be wrong.
Yeah, that's true. So this detective from Metropolis drove 3 hours to talk to him for 2 seconds about this picture.
That seems to be what happened, yes.
Maybe. I feel like she'd be like, he'll be back in the office on Monday. We'll talk then. Like, I have other shit to look at.
I think so. But
this person was murdered yesterday or this morning, just like in the middle of the night.
I'm sure there are other people in this case you could talk to while you wait for him to get back to his office. You know where he's going to be. Or do you, because you don't know if he's in the U.S. Senate or in the state Senate? Jennings, clearly embarrassed, denies any knowledge of the girl, and Jonathan suggests it is a fake made up by Lex in an effort to discredit Jennings and get more political support.
Is there mudslinging in state Senate like elections? I'm sure there is.
I'm sure there is. Just
does
no one's
anyone give a fuck? Yeah, no one's like paying attention to that shit.
Clark goes to the Luthor mansion and confronts Lex, who denies he has any involvement in the affair. The word affair seems weird to use here. Wiki, once again, thank you for writing our entire show, but I don't know if that's the word. That implies... it's fine. It's fine, Wiki.
It makes it sound like he's talking about himself, though.
Right. We have notes, Wiki. He recognizes the Windgate, the club, and warns him it has a dangerous reputation, but he nonetheless gives Clark a VIP pass to get in. I love that this isn't linked to Lex in any capacity. It's just like, oh, anyone who has this can get into this very secret VIP club.
That, like the opponent is maybe going to get in trouble for having his picture taken with a stripper, and then Lex is like, yeah, I know that stripper club. Here's my secret badge for the stripper club.
I didn't even think of that.
Go ahead.
See, Lex wasn't dumb enough to get his picture taken there.
Right, yeah.
I didn't even fucking think of that. Oh, fuck. I think that would be the kind of thing where, like, if anyone noticed that, that'd be a Michael Bay to Ben Affleck, like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, right, yeah.
We're not rewriting shit. Shut the fuck up. You keep that to yourself so we can go home. Clark goes to the Luthor mansion and confronts Lex. Blah, blah, blah. We got that. He nonetheless gives Clark a VIP pass to get in. Lex comes by the Kent farm to talk to Senator Jennings, and an angry Jonathan demands answers. Lex reveals he checked out the photo and found cell phone records confirming Jennings was talking to Melissa that night. You need a warrant for that, right?
In this scene, Johnny K says to Lex, I've never liked you all that much, Lex. But even I thought, so what do you mean? You gave him
What do you mean?
You were at his wedding, you gave him that compass thing.
Yeah.
You were on good terms for like a season. So
yes.
Just cool it.
Lex reveals he checked out the photo and found cell phone records confirming Jennings was talking to Melissa that night, but he is going to let the press find it rather than go public with it himself. Chloe and Lois find their way to the club, but they fail to talk their way past the bouncer. I loved this scene where Chloe and Lois, they're walking down an alley and Chloe says something. Chloe says something to the effect of that she can't find this place, directions to this place on MapQuest, even though it is clearly a very clearly lit up like business front. This is a pretty findable secret sex club. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, you don't have to like go into a building and go down to the basement and like
no.
It's directly outside. It's just like flashing lights, a club.
Just yep. And if you'd walked around Metropolis for a while, you would have walked by it. So noticing some women in costumes come outside, they sneak in behind them to ask some questions. And they sneak into, for this very secretive, very terrible nighttime club for the bad rich people. This is the most PG strip club in the history of...
No, they don't take off their underwear.
You, based on what we see this, you could let minors into this building.
I also like they go to the front entrance, and the bouncer's like, "No, you can't come in. This is too private and too cool of a club." So then they go around back and just walk in the back exit. Like, there's no bouncer in the back protecting the strippers?
Yeah, right. Just anybody can just walk in?
Yeah, through the back. Creeps would never think to try the back door.
Never, not in a million years. I read about, just the other day, a techno club in New York City. I think I read about this in Thrillist. But it apparently one of, like, the harder clubs to get into. Never been a club guy myself, but this club will actually vibe check you before letting you in. They will straight up just like give you an up and down, and based on that discretion of whether you are cool enough or not to go into the building, which is devastating.
Yeah, it's like it's Simon fucking Cowell at the bouncer at this club. Just like...
The author of this article, if I find it, I'll link to it. But just talking, like, the bouncer like grilled them, like, who were you here to see?
The guy on his phone who wouldn't acknowledge you from the Ninja Turtles movie should be the bouncer at that club.
That's oof. He'd be good at it. I want that for him. Okay, so none of the girls are willing to talk to Chloe and Lois. They all seem very fearful. Chloe and Lois spot a private office and sneak in to start searching the files. I love this also because they're like, okay, if this dancer worked here, she'd be on file. And I love that this CD club is up on its taxes with the city.
Yeah, it has the file cabinet with all the records.
Of course. Certainly is not a cash-only gig for wayward young people. Oh, yeah, we got all our tax information right here. We're very up and up with the city.
Wait, don't the police come bust the thing later for like...
Uh-huh. That is what happens.
I'm so confused.
To be fair, they only see a filing cabinet and then assume there will be records in there. It's not that they find any records. They just start opening a filing cabinet before picking up from the wiki. They are soon interrupted by the owner. Chloe covers by passing Lois off as a potential new hire, and the owner tells her to take her clothes off so he can see how she dances. Lois gets ready to go on stage while Chloe stays backstage to continue to question the other dancers. I don't know about you, but I got a sinking, oh no.
Oh, well, we get some classic silhouette work when Lois is changing into her suit, her bathing suit, or whatever the fuck it is.
Right.
She's behind one of those screens. For some reason, in the back room of this strip club, they have screens to
some real
change the
modesty
line.
screens. Yeah, just every.
That would be like if in a men's locker room there was a little screen for me to change behind. I would love that, actually.
Every dancer I've known in my entire life is so utterly desensitized to the human body. Like,
Yes. As you would be.
just it is what it is. Like, okay, Clark, in a suit and tie, enters the club where he is greeted by the owner. Do we know did Lex give Clark this suit?
Okay. It wouldn't fit him if he did.
Right. So did he just show up in his fucking Men's Warehouse prom tux?
Oh, you know what? He probably he kept it from when he was on Red K and got a cool
right,
suit.
of course. That makes sense.
Yeah, he
Clark,
went to Men's Warehouse. It's like, oh, what's the occasion? Going to a super secret strip club for rich people? Okay, yeah, I know exactly what to give you. Yeah.
Prom.
Prom, yes, prom. Cool prom. Underground prom.
Clark claims that he is meeting with Jennings, who has a quote-unquote usual table. Uh-oh.
Oh, no, Dukes of Hazzard guy.
This is also definitely just a venue that location scouting found and built a set in. It's very not sleazy and not even like fancy sleazy. It's
I like Clark shows up and they're like, hey, who the fuck are you? And he's like, I'm a friend of Lex Luthor's. And then he shows him the card. So does that card have Lex's name on it? Is it just like
yeah? Once again, how does this work? Apparently this VIP pass is transferable, which is tickets to Six Flags aren't even transferable.
It's so cool. The only way you can get in is if someone gives you one of those passes. It's like when Gmail was first a thing. You had to be invited by another Gmail person.
That's it. Man, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I felt real exclusive when I had a Gmail.
That's happening now with a bunch of Twitter alternatives, like your Blue Skies or your Mastodon. They're all invite only, and I
hope they
all
all
got
burn.
an invite for any of them. Yeah. My wife's on all of them. I haven't got an invite for any of them. To be clear, I don't want to be.
Yeah, she's doing you and the world a favor.
That's it. They can't take all my hot takes, my hot internet takes.
You save those for this show, Brian.
That's it. Look out, Joe Rogan. I'm coming.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay, so Clark looks on in astonishment as the next dancer, Lois, emerges in revealing clothing and starts a very awkward dance routine. Lois is announced as Amber, I believe.
Tom Welling does a lot of good, like, I'm 19 and I'm in a strip club looks.
Very good.
Like, he's about to just, like, vaporize everyone in that club with his heat vision.
Yes. He does good, and then despite how, like, this scene is, Erica Durance does fantastic.
Oh, she does too, of course. And it is like the strip thing is cringy, but the fact that she has to give, like, Lois has to give Clark a lap dance so they can talk is fun.
It's fun. It's funny.
And I like Tom is playing it like he's like, please, like, I'm so, get away from me. Like, he wouldn't be like, okay.
Like, yes, this is the way we communicate now.
This is my favorite day.
Espionage. I even, with Erica Durance's routine, she's in sort of like, she's got an American flag bikini top, shorts, and I believe she has some sort of like naval cap on. So at one point she like salutes and does a march, and it's quite funny. And then eventually there is probably a not even quite 30-second shot of her like getting it together and doing like a sexier pole dance, just enough for the WB promo.
Yes, and for enough for the Russian bad guy to be like, who is that girl?
Right.
I want to creep on her.
Yes. Eventually, she gets into it, quote unquote, but then spots an embarrassed Clark. She slips over after her routine and ostensibly gives him a lap dance so that she could discreetly question his presence. He tells her he is looking for evidence to clear Jennings' name. Afterwards, Clark notices a European man, Mr. Lion, meeting with the owner and uses his super hearing to overhear them talking about $500,000 and the owner's girls. It's something real lame, like hey, for like $500,000 I don't ask questions for crimes.
Do you have one of those passes?
Transferable passes that let
Lois,
you do crime in this establishment.
Lois calls Clark out when she's giving him the lap dance because he's all scared, and she's like, "Stop looking at me like I'm Jabba the Hutt." She says Jabba, but that's okay. It's still a fun reference. And then
she's Canadian.
She's like, "Give me money, like so it looks like you're tipping me." And then he's too afraid to put it in her cleavage, so she just takes it from him. It's fun.
It's fun. They're both doing good work here. It's just I don't know what about it. If it was actually fun, here's the thing: if it was actually sexy, that'd be one thing. But it's so afraid to actually be sexy. Is that even the right articulation of it?
No, I mean,
what is cringy about this? Because it is.
Yes.
What is it specifically that's cringy? Because there's a version of the scene in a high budget thing that's like fun and sexy, you know?
I mean, it's the WB male gaze of it all, right? It's the you like,
nailed it.
This episode exists so we can put Erica Durance in a bathing suit on a poster.
Yes, right. Yeah, you nailed it. That's exactly it. That's exactly it.
Like, the episode's not about Clark going to a male strip club and having to be an undercover stripper. You know what I'm saying?
Which, that episode would be fun.
Yeah, and Lex, for some reason, goes to that club, too.
We're writing a spec, baby.
Alternate. This is where the shows diverge. Like,
that's it.
We could have gone down our path, and then we have to write the rest of the show.
There we go. Boom. And then that's the Smallville animated series. That is 100% not happening, right?
It's over. It's over.
It's over. All you'll have is our alternate universe spec scripts. Enjoy them.
In which Wheat Boy may make an appearance.
Will definitely make an appearance. I'm imagining Wheat Boy's like striptease is like he has to like he opens up his jacket and just wheat starts piling out like no.
I love the idea that Wheat Boy forgot that he's just made of wheat.
He does all the time
because he wasn't born that way.
Right. So occasionally he finds himself in scenarios where he simply just begins to unbundle. I believe the mutation's also gotten worse. Initially, just his arms and legs were stalks of wheat. Now it's his entire torso has become wheat.
Yeah, he's still
and
all
very
man
susceptible
down
to just falling out.
He's still all man down there though, so he could do a striptease.
He could. You're right. He absolutely could. I want this to be someone's first episode. What the fuck are they talking about?
Wheat Boy? Nietzsche lines? What the fuck?
This show is incomprehensible.
It is. Of course it is. It's always
Of course
been.
It is.
We started sharing it with people in season 2. So we had like 22 episodes of inside jokes and shit. That no one will ever hear.
We're dumb. The police bust in, and Sawyer interrogates Clark and the other patrons as part of the investigation of the dead girl who worked at the club shortly before the hit and run. Meanwhile, Mr. Lyon manages to get Lois out. Clark spots Chloe in the crowd, who doesn't know where Lois is. He then listens in on the conversation between the owner and Sawyer, where the owner claims Jennings was drunk at the time he met the girl and she took him home, but the senator had nothing to do with the murder. Probing for evidence, Chloe talks to the dancers about Lyon. They tell her that he often takes different girls out of the club who then disappear
and get run over by cars.
Chloe finds out that Lois went with Lyon. After hours of questioning, Sawyer allows Chloe and Clark to leave. Thanks to some phone calls.
Once again, forgot that he had super speed when the cops bust in.
Magic how that he just fucking
could have
forgets
been
that.
gone.
He's freer to like. He feels better super speeding away from his girlfriend, who's a little like, where it's already a little on his fucking tail, than fucking a bunch of cops who would not clock he was ever there in the first place.
Right, yeah.
Even if when they bust in, you didn't think to go, after 20 minutes, you can be like, all right, peace, I'm out. Because what are they going to do?
Eventually, they're going to look the other way for a second.
Because also you don't even live in a metropolis. In between getting your ID and like them entering, you had ample opportunity to just fuck that shit. You're out.
What? I mean, did you bring your fucking ID to this underground strip club? You shouldn't.
Of course he did. He's Clark Kent. What if he got pulled over, Zach?
They're like, we saw your red truck parked outside.
So Sawyer allows Chloe and Clark to leave thanks to some phone calls by Lex. Sawyer is not impressed with the theories and investigation. Woof, that was a lot, and I don't have that much to say about it.
No.
Jonathan meets up with Jennings at the farm, and they go for a ride. I think we get here he's in a I don't know cars. It's blue. It was red. It's a blue one of the red car they drove at Dukes of Hazzard. Do you know what that car is, Zach?
Wait, they couldn't even get the red one?
I don't know. I just know it's red in Dukes of Hazzard.
They were in Vancouver. They could only get a blue one.
What's the Dukes of Hazzard car?
I don't know cars.
Of Hazzard car. It was called the General Lee in the show. It was a 1969 Dodge Charger. And it's kind of a reddish orange in the television show Dukes of Hazzard. In Smallville, it is blue. And I think we're going to nod to it without being too obvious, even though, all right. It's got one of those scenes where Jonathan's in the driver's seat, Jennings gets in the passenger seat through the window, and they're like, like in that other thing.
Yeah. We used to do this.
Simultaneously hate this, but it's also like, okay.
Right.
It's fine.
Well, I just don't know who this cameo was for. It was for John Schneider.
It was for John Schneider.
Literally no one watching the show knows who the fuck this guy is.
Like I said, when I saw this for the first time I'm 17. I'm in like the prime demo for Smallville. I did not clock it off that this was a reference to anything.
You were like, what the fuck is going on, though? There's some weird energy.
I genuinely don't even think I thought about it. Because also, it's weird also watching these weekly. It's a different vibe than just binging these on DVD. It would take me a week to get through a set, you know?
Right.
I don't know. So Jonathan confronts Jennings about the dead girl and wants straight answers. Jennings admits he was involved with Melissa and doesn't love his wife, but he lied to keep Jonathan out of it. Lyon takes Lois to his apartment. He gives her a red dress to wear, which is identical to the one Melissa was wearing on the night she was killed. While changing her clothing, she finds Melissa's personal belongings in the dresser, which we know because there's a Polaroid of her in the red dress attached to the box. Which, I'm going to say, if you're going to murder strippers, don't leave that around your house.
I mean, yes, you're right.
Don't leave a "I definitely murdered her" box.
But
just throwing that one out there for all the would-be murderers out there.
A lot of criminals do shit like that, though.
Specifically, if they need to communicate information visually on Smallville.
To the audience, yeah.
Yes. So Lion takes a picture of Lois in the new dress, clearly to go on Lois's own murder box. And
but who gets the dress? I guess she's just going to give that to the next person.
I think that just goes right back on the rack.
Yeah.
Because there was red dress, but there were red dresses in the closet. So he takes a picture of her in the new dress and talks about how she'll make all of the other girls jealous. When she tries to get out, he grabs her and forces her to stay. She tries to fight back, but the bodyguard tasers her unconscious. At the planet, Chloe and Clark compare notes. Clark
Question,
overheard...
I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Does a taser put you unconscious? Or would she be going unconscious because she hit her head when she fell from the taser? In which case, that's a concussion.
Oh, man. Okay, I think we have to... Okay. Do you have a strong opinion, or should we Google, can you go unconscious from a taser?
I think that's the way to go, yeah.
Okay, I'm okay,
can
you
getting
got it.
tased cause you to lose...
Thank you for taking the hit here with the FBI.
Oh shit, I didn't think about that. Okay.
It was for our Smallville podcast.
Yeah, I swear. Murder boxes, huh? Yes, a taser can cause permanent damage. According to ABC News, a taser can cause brain injuries. Loss of consciousness, abnormal brain function, and even seizures can result from being hit by a taser. There we go.
All right.
No concussion.
I think it's certainly intended by the show. The taser knocks her out.
Yeah, that's fine. I accept.
All right.
I accept.
All right.
We did our due diligence. And we can move on.
That's the most research we've ever done on this show. This is a new high for us. Look at us. This is now an intellectual program that does research.
This seems
Definitely
like
not
a sketch or something where like I'm in court and like every weird thing I've looked up is because of my Smallville podcast and I have to try to explain it.
Now I'd like to get to Wheat Boy.
Cream of wheat.
Okay, at the planet, Chloe and Clark compare notes. Clark overheard Sawyer talk about the son of a diplomat, and Chloe has photos of the car's license plates. They find a consulate plate in the photos and find the address, and Clark super speeds there. Lion is talking to Lois out by helicopter from the rooftop helipad when Clark arrives. He prints out a fake passport Lion made for her, while Chloe figures out that there is a helipad on the roof. That was a real tangled sentence there, Wiki.
Just like the tangled cord that Clark puts around the helicopter.
That's it.
Spoiler.
Clark super speeds up there, hooks the helicopter with a line, and starts pulling it down. Clark yanks the helicopter back down, knocking out the pilot. That's a concussion, right? If
I thought
knocks
Lois,
out the pilot.
He knocks out the pilot because Lois knocks out the bad guy and like the
Lois
boss-
awakens
the
and punches
guard.
out her captors. Is what we have there. So
there's
all right.
those two, and then the pilot.
Great.
That
there
would
we
be
go.
3, right?
That's 3. That's 3 right there.
Great.
Okay, here's a question. Do you think the wiki in like the fun facts section will link the fact that there's a helicopter here to Superman the movie?
Oh, I mean, they've certainly
Not do you think that was intended?
No.
Do you think the wiki will flag it?
I mean, they've made bigger leaps than that before.
Yes. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say they did.
Not dissimilar to a scene in Superman the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Was it intended to be? No.
Absolutely not.
Sawyer and the cops show up, but she reveals that Lion has to be released due to his father having diplomatic immunity. This simply cannot be how diplomatic immunity works.
This is the laziest, like...
I'm pretty sure you can't come to this country on diplomatic immunity and just start killing strippers. And then just pull full lethal weapon to diplomatic immunity.
At the very least, it would be an international incident. It wouldn't just be, gotta let him go. No court, no nothing.
Like this, yeah, right. This on diplomatic immunity, you can't just I'll kill everyone I want.
You can't walk around flaunting laws in our face. Like, we would talk to your country about doing something. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes,
hey.
yes.
Also, it's not like the episode is about that. This is like a throwaway thing at the very end.
Yeah, right.
For what reason?
Just
What do we get from that?
oh, nothing. Just diplomatic immunity.
But what does that give us story-wise?
Nothing.
It gives us maybe like Chloe gave the tip at the end, so she gets her first byline. But you could have had that anyway.
Much less ridiculously, you could have said he was the son of an oil baron who simply can pay his way out of anything.
But why? He's going to jail anyway at the end.
I guess so. I guess, yeah. Yeah, why not just like, oh, we got him.
Right.
Huh. Weird. You are exactly right. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there's nothing to him needing to get away here. You could just like, we got him.
I'm trying to think, is there any line about like Clark being disillusioned by the justice system or I can't think of a reason.
I didn't even think of that. That's buck wild, dude. So relieved to be alive.
There's got to be something, but I'm not going to rewatch it. So
no. Definitely not. This is not on my... I didn't think this was like an awful fucking episode. Like we've seen some real stinkers, but like this is not... I'm not gonna remember this one at the end of the season. I'm gonna be like, oh, middling. Right, that one. Yeah,
this is middling.
Yeah. I would say low middling. Yeah. So relieved to be alive, but very disappointed in the criminal justice system, an angry Lois punches Lion once more, and Sawyer advises them to return to Smallville. Later, Clark meets with Lex and thanks him for his help, then expresses his disappointment with Jennings. I don't remember that Clark and Lex scene too well.
Lex gives him an evil Wilson.
Right.
The story of David versus Goliath, and then afterwards, David did a bunch of sketchy shit, and it's good. Like, Rosenbaum is good in this episode with what he's given. He's doing a really good job.
Am I mistaken though? Of like, there's basically a scene where Tom Welling virtually turns to camera and goes, "Gosh, guess they didn't tell us that part."
Yes. Yeah. They kind of leave that part out.
Clark and Jack are talking in the barn, and Jennings seems genuinely sorry to have let Clark and Jonathan down. He reveals he's calling a press conference and is pulling out of the race. Presently, for all the public knows, he took a picture with a stripper.
Do state senators have press conferences?
A great question.
I don't think they do, Brian.
I mean,
much
I've
press is
certainly
showing
never
up?
seen one. Yeah,
How
right.
much press is showing up to that thing?
That sounds really boring.
They release statements.
Yeah,
They
right.
don't have press conferences.
That no one reads. So later, Jennings suggests that Jonathan should consider running for senator. Clark is helping Lois move out of the Kent house when Chloe shows up with her news story, revealing that Interpol arrested Mr. Lyon upon his return to Europe, thanks to an anonymous tip. An anonymous tip?
From Chloe. The implication is from
Yes.
Chloe. But
why
what
not
is the
just from
tip?
the American police?
Right. What is the tip?
What is... How do Smallville think diplomatic immunity works?
Yeah. What is the internal logic? I know it doesn't work in the real world, but how does it work even in Smallville? That's what I want to know.
So basically, if Martians do any fucking dirty shit on Earth during Smallville, they just have to be like, hey, Martian immunity, baby. We have to let us blow this shit up.
So I had to take it up with our government.
Hey, sorry. You gotta leave an anonymous tip with the Kryptonian Council. Oops, they blew up.
Yeah.
So Interpol arrested Mr. Lyon thanks to an anonymous tip. Lois reluctantly thanks Clark for his help, and they part as friends. Oh, that was the episode. Yeah, I think low middling. I think we've said literally everything that could possibly be said about this episode.
I'm not sure, but I bet if you look up online top episodes of Smallville, I bet that's on a lot of lists.
You think?
Not because it's super good, but I think that moment is remembered as a big deal.
I don't remember that moment.
Lois stripping moment.
Yes, it's in the credits for I think the rest of the show.
And I do remember that's one of the random episodes I caught in Vancouver on reruns that made me go, I should give Smallville another shot.
I have Entertainment Weekly's the 50 best episodes of Smallville. I am gonna I'm gonna search this episode's name. All right, Zach, on Entertainment Weekly's 50 best episodes of Smallville. What number do you think it is? Unless you don't think it's on it.
Oh, it's on it.
That's it. So 0 is an option.
No, it's on it.
All right.
50 best episodes. See, this is tough.
Best episodes.
Because I don't think it's on the 50 best.
Right. But what do you think Entertainment Weekly thinks it is? If they think it is at all.
19.
Zach, it is not episode 19. It's lower than that. Do you have another guess? And I'm counting 0 under lower.
Lower. Oh, okay. Lower as in not ranked as highly.
Yes.
Okay.
Including not on the list.
Okay. See, 35.
Zach, it is not on the list.
Oh, Brian. Entertainment Weekly. Good job.
Good job, Entertainment Weekly. Correct call.
Is that the only list out there, though? There's got to be
no, certainly not.
I'm going to keep looking until I find one.
I'm I am happy to see Spirit on here, the prom episode. I've seen that on some like worst list, which is crazy.
Spirit.
I've seen that on worst episodes of all time lists.
That's insane.
Zach looks visibly upset by that.
Well, that's your and I's like one of our favorite.
That I would put that in one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think is the best episode of on Entertainment Weekly's top 50?
It's probably the one where Johnny K dies. Reckoning.
That's number 2.
Oh, see, I was close.
Number 1 is season 4, episode 1, Crusade, the first Lois Lane episode. Which
what?
Picking the best episode of Smallville is no easy feat, and you can make an argument for why any of the other episodes in this list could be a contender for this highly coveted spot. Blah, 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 blah. Margot Kidder being here. And I will say Erica Durance is great in it, and she was a breath of fresh air. Still, this feels like... Here's the thing about these lists. These lists, if they are... I have some inside experience in development of lists like this, they don't want it to be a little too like agreeable. They want to put some things in there that'll generate some conversation.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
We're all little monkeys with our little strings being pulled.
Brian,
they
we should
want a
circle
hot
back
take for number one.
when we get done with this recap show. We should do our own best list.
Agreed. Fully agreed. That I think that's its own episode. We should do a lot. Of
course.
And do like,
we should literally rank every single episode of the show.
That could be fun. That'd be a project, but I think it'd be fun.
It could be fun, and it could also be one of those things that we say is going to be fun, and then we're doing it, and we're like, fuck, why did we say we're going to do this? I still think we should do it.
I agree. I think that might be a couple episode series as we work our way through 200 episodes of Smallville.
When we're done, we're just desperate for content. We're just
right. Because we're too scared to move on to the next thing because we're so used to what we know. So we're just.
Do you think anything is gonna knock Zero off the top spot of worst?
It would have to be a really like special level of bad.
There's one episode next season that I remember at the time thinking, this is rock bottom.
Season 7, we're going to hit writer's strike stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
So that could be a whole new bad episode ball game. That could be unreal. That could be a wasteland.
There's a few clinkers left in the tank.
I don't know if we've seen the floor yet for bad, but I think we're going to find out. We got some featured music this episode. We got Don't Ya by the Pussycat Dolls. All Jacked Up by Gretchen Wilson. How Do You Do It by Molly M. Cold Hands, Warm Heart by Brendan Benson. And I'm Human by Flashlight Brown. Let's see here. No Lana Lang, no Lionel Luther, no Martha Kent this episode. This
no Lana.
No Lana.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. That's part of the problem with Lana.
Right, yeah. She lifts right out.
Yep. This is the third consecutive episode in which Martha does not appear, and the first in which Jonathan appears, but Martha does not.
Ooh.
Since this episode, Clark and Lex are the only two members of the original main cast who appear in every episode. That's interesting.
Interesting.
This episode used to air as syndicated reruns on ABC Family with a mature content viewer discretion warning.
I mean, that makes sense.
Kind of.
A stripper gets run over by a car.
I guess that's fair. I think, I don't know if violence is what does it. I think the stripping is what does it. And like, let's be clear, there is nothing worse here than the bikini in the Aquaman episode.
But it's ABC Family.
That's true. The phone log that Lex hands to Jonathan shows that the three Kansas cities of Kansas City, Topeka, and Wichita are all in the same 206 area code. In fact, they are all different area codes, and none of them are 206. That's the Seattle, Washington area. The area code for Metropolis is 785, which is the real area code for Topeka.
Clever.
In the last scene with Jonathan and Senator Jennings, the senator calls him John instead of Jonathan. So what? Come on. That's nothing. That's not worth noting.
What do you mean?
You can see how we got there.
Wait, he's his old friend. He can't just call him John sometimes?
Can't just call his bud John? That can't be that has to be a fucking, like, thing you noticed?
One of my best friends ever, he goes by Joey. Sometimes I call him Joe. Sometimes I call him Joey.
Well, mark it down in the wiki, Zach. Okay, are you ready? Are you ready for this? Clark pulling the helicopter down and his remark, "Looks like it got caught," is similar to a scene in the Superman film in which he saves Lois from a helicopter as it falls off of a building.
Well done, Brian.
Let's be clear. The only similarity here is that there's a helicopter.
And they're on the top of a building.
One of the things Chloe does at the Daily Planet is write obituaries. In the pilot, Lois and Clark, Jimmy Olsen writes obituaries. Clark also writes them as shown in Superman Returns. Boring. Let's see here. The video game Lois and Chloe are playing at the beginning is a PlayStation 2 exclusive, Crimson Sea 2. So I thought I recognized that game. I did not.
Come on, you remember Crimson Sea 2?
Of course! Tom Wopat is John Schneider's co-star in the popular series The Dukes of Hazzard that originally aired on the CBS television network from 1979 to 1985. Let's see. This episode contains several references to the show and several years of friendship, most notably Senator Jennings' Dodge Charger. In the show, the cousins frequently climbed through the windows of the Dodge Charger and drove recklessly through the dirt roads of Hazzard County. Also, Lex mentions the good old boys line when confronting Jonathan at the Kent house. Lois remarks that Chloe used to have a crush on Richie Cunningham, meaning Clark, a reference to the wholesome main character of the television show Happy Days. Blah, 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 blah. Well, I guess that's everything. Oh, the name on Lois's fake passport is Margot Neal, an allusion to the two actresses that played Lois Lane in the past, Margot Kidder and Noelle Neal. Sure. Cute. Zach, I guess that's everything for Exposed. Thank you everybody for listening to the Talon Mix. We're here every Friday. If you want to support the show, we have a link in our description to our Patreon. We have some bonus stuff. Coming shortly, we're going to be doing a new What We've Been Watching. I've been watching some stuff. Zach, I don't know about you. I've seen Barbie. I've seen Oppenheimer. I've seen Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I watched Guardians of the Galaxy 3 just before recording this. And spoiler alert, I think it's awful.
Yes, we have much to talk about. I have also seen all those films except for Guardians of the Galaxy by the time we're recording that. So I have a lot to say too.
So we'll be talking about that. Yeah, the Patreon's $5. We appreciate it. That said, obviously don't if that's any kind of financial burden. If you want to support the show, just giving us 5 stars on your podcasting app of choice actually is an incredible help. And if you just do it right now, it'd be real nice of you. But that's going to wrap it up for us. Zach, do you have a question for the Smallville gods?
Yeah, I want you to give me a straight answer here. Is Senator Jennings a state senator or a national U.S. senator?
Good night, everybody.